What's up everybody, Mitch here. Thanks for checking out another video. In today's video, I'm talking a little bit about foot placement on the bike because I think this is something that beginners a lot of the time will overlook, even juniors or intermediates sometimes. We get caught up in some bad habits, I'll call it, when it comes to technique. And a way that you can work on that is working on your foot placement. So starting from the ground up, what does that actually look like? Well, a lot of times what happens with beginners or juniors, or like I said, pretty much anyone, what they do is they kind of ride right on the arch of their heel. So they have their foot kind of in the middle of the foot peg. Where you actually want your foot is you want to be riding on the balls of your feet. And that's for a bunch of different reasons. First of all, your ankles will act as a little bit more of a suspension. And what that leads to is you have a better connection with the ground. You'll be able to feel what the bike is doing a little more effectively by using your ankle as a bit of a suspension on the bike. So that's huge versus having the arc of your foot on there. You'll be able to feel the ground more effectively because your ankle is flexing down a little bit more, if that makes sense. Now, number two is the angle of your foot. So if you have it in an arch, that's great. We can still squeeze the bike with our legs, which is what we want to do. But if you have the balls of your feet on the foot pegs, you can more effectively squeeze the bike. And here's a really important thing, and that's really beneficial to riders by having that technique. So by having the balls of your feet on the pegs and just angling your feet in just a little bit, what that's gonna do is it's gonna point your knees in and you're gonna be able to squeeze the bike without even really thinking about it. And that sounds good, right? Because we know we need to squeeze the bike for more control over the whole thing. So by riding on the balls of your feet, so the arches, angling your feet in a little bit, you'll be able to, it directs your knees into the bike. So think about the opposite of that. If you have your feet pointed out, as weird as that feels, what happens is, obviously you can't squeeze the bike as effectively, right? And that's not good technique. Whereas when you have your feet in, you can squeeze your bike. And here, when you land or when you're jumping or when you're moving around on the bike, if you have your feet pointed in, your knees are going to continue to point into the bike as you're moving around on the bike, which continues to squeeze the bike. If you have your feet pointed out, when you're jumping and you're landing, you see what happens? Do you see how the knees kind of go out away from the bike? That's less control of the bike, but that also means you have to hang on tighter with your arms, which leads to arm pump, slowing down. You're definitely at risk of crashing a lot more because you're getting tuckered out in your arms. So having your feet pointed in grips the bike a little better. It makes it smoother. Now, when it comes to jumping and landing, again, having your feet in that position also is a huge benefit. So when you land and you have your feet pointed in, you're squeezing the bike, it acts as a little bit more of a suspension, but it also gives you more control of the bike while you land, which is a huge thing, especially for beginners when you're still trying to figure out how to jump a dirt bike. So when you come in and you squeeze, this, again, it's automatically making you squeeze the bike, which tends to lead to more control. As you come down from the jump, the bike is going to be more stable, more planted, and there's going to be less heebie-jeebies that it wants to do that can potentially upset it enough that you end up hitting the deck. So just a real quick one on foot placement. You want to be on the balls of your feet with your feet angled in a little bit. If you practice that a little bit, I think you're going to find that it helps dramatically with your riding. So how do I recommend practicing? Well, just get out on the track. So when you do your warm-up, say it's 10 minutes and you do a couple laps, do a couple laps where you focus specifically on having your feet in that position. Don't worry about your lap times. Don't worry about doing all the jumps. Don't worry about anything, trying to go fast or anything like that. It's specifically working on that foot placement. Just take a couple laps to do that, and then get into your regular riding. And do that every time that you ride during your warm-up. Work on the technique. Work on having your feet in the right spot, your knees angled in, squeezing the bike. If you do that every time, sooner or later, that's gonna become a natural thing for you to do, which leads to you becoming a better, safer rider. And that's it. Hope you liked the video. And if you did, smash the subscribe button for me. It is way too nice out here. It's like hero dirt right now, and I can't wait to ride. So I'm gonna get out there. I'm gonna work on my foot placement because we all need to. I'll see you in the next video.